Hello friends, today's topic is NIH, or National Institutes of Health. Whether to keep this organization or to lose it ASAP. The 40s marked birth of a middleman in science called National Institutes of Health that was given the responsibility of awarding or withholding money for research. Despite its humble origins and relatively benign first 30 years or so, NIH grew into a monster that caused a significant decline of American science. Here are some of the direct consequences of NIH activities. Mafia-style evolution of those who are closer to the money. The proliferation of bureaucracy and, even more importantly, the substitution of values for selecting the best scientists, where the quality of ideas and execution are replaced by the number of publications and skillful grant writing. The organizational principles on which NIH is built deserve some genuine praise, because they are so elegant and simple. They create a self-sufficient and self-perpetuating system based on censure prosecuted by scientists themselves. Whether to give or withhold money depends on the decision of a small group of reviewers recruited from the scientific community. On the surface, it looks like a cruel but fair survival of the fittest strategy. Those who are awarded acquire the money to conduct research and publish, and this sets them apart from unfortunate ones who are forced into either subordinate positions or extinction. Everything, however, depends on the definition of the fittest, and in the NIH system, the process of awarding money is not necessarily based on scientific merit. Let's talk about bureaucracy. These days, the process of applying for grants has become so complicated and so uncertain that NIH offers courses and seminars on how to apply and make the reviewers like your proposal. Scientists need to learn new skills to successfully sell their work and ideas to survive. Everything becomes very important. Number of pages, fonts, figures, length of sentences, biosketches, number of references, etc., etc. If formatting requirements are not met, a proposal is tossed away. The skill of proper writing of proposals gives a significant edge to a small group of applicants, despite the obvious fact that superb grantsmanship is not equal to superb ideas or the ability to do good science. Many good scientists can't apply for grants, either due to insufficient mastery of English, or because their bosses do not let them, or for several other reasons. In every lab, it is a very common sight that the leader spends most of his time writing, and rewriting proposals, lest he loses funding. The actual scientific content of applications is also treated in a peculiar way. First, there is no appeal. Second, reviewers are fond of descriptions that preclude meaningful discussion anyways. The proposal can be found lacking sufficient innovation and tossed out. The study can be called descriptive, pedestrian, or overly ambitious. If the applicant is not an independent researcher, it may also be considered a sufficient reason for rejection, and I wonder why. An applicant can easily stumble on approach or blamed for the insufficient experience. In other words, we have high priests who are defending their priesthood against imposters, insolently claiming to be PhDs as well. Just like that. Also, I regularly hear complaints from my fellow scientists that it often happens that they get a good score for the initial application, revise it according to the reviewer's comments, resubmit the revised grant, and get no score second time with another group of reviewers. What does it tell us? It tells us that despite conscious effort of reviewers, we are dealing with an essentially random process based on pure luck. Although I have to say that some applicants are considerably luckier than the others, whether it is a magic of the names like Harvard or Cornell, or networking talents, or good science is hidden from me. Being an artificial system with a conservative bias, because the viewers are mostly veteran scientists with established views, and having no foresight whatsoever, NIH cannot faithfully imitate life, although it tries. And it is rather inefficient in fostering innovative science. In its website, NIH claims credit for all successes of the American science, although there is no evidence that achievements would be any worse without its interference. In fact, there are indications that America might have done much better. For example, out of 45 of US-located Nobel Prize winners, 16 did not get any NIH funding for work that won them the prize. Considering criteria utilized by NIH, the applications of these unfunded future Nobel Prize laureates were probably labeled overly ambitious, or mere fishing expeditions, or they themselves were labeled as not independent. Who knows? Here's an excerpt from Dr. Matthews' article where he writes, "In the limited survey of Nobel Prize winners, we found that in several cases, the NIH did not fund the researchers directly for their work leading to the award. The responses to our emails uncovered multiple grant proposal rejections due to the researchers' inexperience or the peer reviewers' reluctance to fund high-risk projects. This is not all. The NIH system of funding unleashes a truly terrible evil that threatens the very existence of objective science, because the academic career and livelihood, by the way, of a contemporary scientist depend on whether he or she gets funded. There is a grim necessity to produce desirable results, or else. Being wrong is lethal in contemporary science because it does not bring money, and therefore it is a luxury that nobody can afford. Researchers have families to feed, bills and mortgages to pay, and lifestyles, however miserable, to maintain. This necessity puts scientists in an untenable position, forcing many, if not all, to be more or less selective when evaluating experimental data. I wonder if such an arrangement is not partially responsible for the fact that most biomedical research is not reproducible. There are several publications on this topic. In this one, for example, the authors conclude that there is compelling evidence that the majority of these discoveries will not stand the test of time. To a large extent, this reproducibility crisis in basic and preclinical research may be as a result of failure to adhere to good scientific practice and the desperation to publish or perish. Just to give you this sense of scale, look at this table. Let's see. Microarray data. 16 out of 18 studies unable to be reproduced in principle from raw data. Oncology, and this is interesting. 90% of 53 studies were not reproduced. Now think about actual worth of all these talented and distinguished professors all over the United States who conducted this research. Mouse in vivo, the backbone of experimental biology. 0 out of 100 reported treatments repeated positive in studies on ALS. If we want to keep the American science competitive, we urgently need to do something. And I'm offering you an alternative vision as to how the funding system promoting good science should operate. In this vision, there is no place for NIH and the likes because the money goes directly to the universities and research institutes with a strictly enforced overhead spending limit and without any strings attached as far as the research itself is concerned. The survival of the fittest strategy will still be in place, but it will select for different traits. With equal starting conditions, the bad and so-so scientists will go extinct simply due to their inability to produce quality science. The work of scientists will be subject to a classical peer review quality control, of course, but without anyone judging what they can and cannot think or do. And the academic career will be based not so much on the eloquence, Ivy League connections, and the money wrestled from NIH, but on quality and reproducibility of research and impact of publications. So my parting message is, NIH must go the way of dinosaurs before it's too late. See you next time.